Yo, what's happening, world? Name's Raheem Flowers. You know, it's been a minute since I talked about this dude, Charlamagne the Sambo. And I've been watching Joe Budden's podcast. I watch Joe Budden on a semi-frequent basis because he says insightful things in spite of his rants and his tangents. He says things that most people won't really have a full understanding of dynamically when it comes to the industry, the hip-hop industry, the music industry. And I think about it. I think about the fact that you have Charlamagne going on a Breakfast Club during these rumor reports or announcements that Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlamagne makes. Now, Charlamagne was speaking about integrity, and Charlamagne, paraphrasing the Sambo, was telling or was saying in regards and in reference to Joe Budden how you should know your worth, but you should understand the art of negotiating. Now, keep in mind, I don't have a problem with what Charlamagne saying in itself. The sentiment in itself is not the issue. The issue lies with who is saying it and where he's coming from when he says it. Where Charlamagne is coming from is a very sellout-esque place. And I'm not just saying that. Charlamagne has said this out his own mouth on multiple occasions. Whether it be talking to his favorite Jew, DJ Vlad, whether it's his favorite white boy, Andrew Schultz, that he has the Brilliant Idiots podcast with. Like, why would you even say that first and foremost around a bunch of Caucasians? I don't got no problem selling out. You can't sell out unless you buy in. Those were the words of that Sambo. That he has no problem. He can't wait till he sells out, were his words. So, looking at that contextually when speaking about Joe Budden, that don't sit well. And what Joe Budden was saying on his podcast, he was on a roll. That was probably one of the best speeches he made since Everyday Struggle back in 2017, when he was talking about integrity and he was talking about entrepreneurship within the black community and encouraging people to do that, instead of just taking a Charlamagne approach and doing things just because it pays the bills. And even if you're the number one on the radio, on iHeart, it's like, dude, it's about ownership. You can talk about success and money, but where's the ownership? Charlamagne, one thing I've noticed about him, he's not somebody who encourages ownership. I remember post Dame Dash interview, this man went out his way to talk to his favorite white boy, Andrew Schultz, and saying, I don't feel bad. You can't make me feel bad for working. Like, I don't know what Dame Dash was trying to do. Like, you damn well know what he was trying to do, but just like the typical Sambo, cooning ass nigga that you are, you're gonna play the fool. And I don't just call people coons and Sambos. I don't use that word loosely like these pseudo-neo pro-black niggas. There's context to using that word. And let's be honest, most of these Negroes are very non-contextual with their words. They just say words that they either hear or words that they just learned the other day. A lot, unfortunately, are like that. Now, I understand that people do things to internalize, and repetition is the father of learning. I get that. But that ain't the case with a lot of these cats out here. Anywho, let me not digress. Charlamagne was talking about, you can't make me feel bad. You shouldn't feel bad, especially if you're feeding your family or you're utilizing that job so you could create your own business. You make these observations off of the experiences that you have, and then you build your own empire from the ground up. Now, Charlamagne has been on the Breakfast Club. I've known about Charlamagne for the last 9 years, but he's been on the Breakfast Club for approximately a decade now. And he's still with iHeartRadio. He's still on Revolt with P. Diddy, who he used to talk shit about, but then come to find out that dude is your boss, man. That's your boss, man. This man is just a modern day Sambo. He is. He has no problem throwing black people under the bus. He has no problem downplaying the success of black entrepreneurship or the encouragement of it in Joe Budden's case. Now, Charlamagne will make rationales by saying that he will bring people on to the Breakfast Club like Farrakhan, who is an agent. All right, let's talk about Farrakhan for a second. You're talking about a dude who actually had linked up with Jet Fort, the leader of the Black Peace Stones. Him, Muammar Gaddafi, and Jet Fort were doing things. They're gonna make some moves. And Jet Fort is the one who got booked, not Farrakhan. It's funny, right? Malcolm X, he's the one who got heat. Farrakhan will seemingly get heat because, you know, the Jews can't make it too obvious. As a matter of fact, the guy who discovered the Nation of Islam, not Noble Jew Ali, but Farad Muhammad, has those lineage. But I'm not trying to digress too much. I'm just saying that to say that you could bring somebody like Louis Farrakhan, you could bring somebody like Umar Johnson, you could go ahead and bring somebody like Wesley Muhammad. All niggas who are very finicky and can't be trusted. I'm like, okay. Oh, you're gonna bring up Dick Gregory, the man who was friends with Hugh Hefner? You talking about him? I don't know, man. I mean, Dick Gregory says he does some questionable things, even though he's brought up a lot of valuable points. So that's what I gotta say on that note. Anywho, as far as Charlamagne the Sambo goes, yeah, Charlamagne, that dude, don't follow that rhetoric, especially if you're a so-called black man. Don't follow his rhetoric. Charlamagne got lucky being with Wendell Williams. He got his lucky break. Not saying the man didn't grind and didn't work hard. I'm not taking anything away from you, Lenny. But, you know, it's like Monique once said, you're that same dude in The Birth of a Nation. That's who you are. See, you had to laugh it off because you knew it was the truth. And you couldn't really refute that. You know what I'm saying? You have to look out for cats like him. Dudes who do all this, dudes who have all this misinformation, who will steer you out of the right direction and may come off a bit more logical than the average so-called black person, but in reality, Charlamagne is just a part of an agenda. Remember, he said that he's scared to talk about the Smallhats. Remember that. That already was a herring red flag. The fact that you would tell a white man and another Caucasian, Jewish white man, that you can't wait till you sell out, these are herring red flags. You say these things and do these things on multiple occasions, and then you do the math on what he said recently to Joe Budden about negotiations. If you have integrity, there should not be no large amount of negotiating. Because if you negotiate with these people who have that industry Hollywood mindset and that spirit, nah, you're gonna be the only one compromising something, not them. And Charlamagne, he knows that. Lenny knows that. So, I salute Joe Budden for what he said. And I salute him for passing on his wisdom from the erroneous actions that he's made in the past, in the early 2000s as an artist, and then he found his calling with the podcast. he found his calling as an orator. He found it. And he found it within being in his late 30s, early 40s, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because Joe Budden still got life to live, and I mean, God willing, nothing happens to him. He still can enjoy that, the fruits of his labor, and not be senile. As for Charlamagne, the man has a track record for saying Sambo-ish, coonish things and throwing his people under the bus. He'll talk about Bevel. See, and that's another thing. Before somebody tries to make some sort of counter argument or rebuttal, Charlamagne is the type of individual who will talk about Bevel. And shout out to Tristan Walker. And talking about supporting black businesses and whatnot. But Charlamagne, all you're doing is showing how much you contradict yourself. You're not showing that you actually and proactively support black business. You bring shady people onto your Breakfast Club, like I stated, and you throw your own people under the bus, and then you say a bunch of sideways cooning shit in front of a bunch of Caucasians. Just think about that for a moment. Dame Dash's whole premise was, even though he was being condescending, but his whole premise was the fact that you should not be having a mindset that is filled with complicity. You should be your own boss. Now, you can make the argument that he wasn't being practical and pragmatic with it, because at some given point, you are going to have to make money and hustle. You're either going to do it the illegal way, or you're going to have to find yourself working at a company and essentially having a boss. So, yeah, there's always that as well. But I think I spoke my piece, and I think I said enough. Peace out, everybody. One love. And I'll be back with the content. No half-assing.